Well, I have, as they say, been a busy boy, and I've built myself a small wildlife pond. Want to know how it's done? I'll tell you now. Welcome to Grey Matters. Hello there, and welcome to Grey Matters, a channel that promotes the fact that the older generation still matters and looks at issues that matter to the older generation. I've built myself a small wildlife pond. Unfortunately, I didn't film the making of it. I guess I should have done, but I didn't really know what I was doing. It was a lot of it was trial and error and watching a lot of YouTube videos, but the end result I'm very pleased with, and it didn't cost very much money at all. And the reasons are that the big rocks at the back, 3 big rocks, were already in our garden when we moved in here 18-20 years ago. The 4th big rock I found up a country lane, half buried in the verge. The logs here, again, a country lane where a tree had fallen and rescued some of those parts. The shingle, I used 2 bags of that, which cost me £2 a bag. The river pebbles cost about £3 to £4 a bag, and I used 3 of those. Here's my little robot mower, still busying away. The liner was £20. And the plants were about £40. The most expensive component actually was a small solar water pump, 300 litres an hour. It's not a lot, but it's all I needed just to have a small water feature so we get the sound of trickling water. That was basically it. Not a lot of money spent really to create this pond. But there are some things, if you're thinking of building a wildlife pond, there are some things you need to consider on your construction of it. And let's take a look at that now. So the first thing to consider is the depth of the pond. This needs to be at least 45 centimetres at its deepest point. The reason for that is that in the winter, if there is any wildlife that is sort of living in the water, it needs to be able to survive over the winter if the pond freezes over. The second consideration is that you need shelving around the edge where you can put in your marginal plants. Now, my mistake here was that I didn't make them wide enough. They need to be really 9 to 12 inches wide to take the baskets. And you can see in here, in fact, I've got one that's fallen off from its little perch. Right, I'm going to have to put that somewhere where it's not going to keep falling in. And the third consideration is that you need a beach. The beach will help amphibians, creatures like hedgehogs, and indeed birds to come down and feed from the water without actually falling in and drowning. Hedgehogs can be quite prone to that. So you need to create a beach and have some stones. If they're submerged, have part of the stones showing above the water so that amphibians and so on can sort of rest on them. And if you want to encourage dragonflies, then things like this stick, they do like to perch on the end of sticks, so that sort of bit of wood, that branch, is ideal. And at the back of the pond we've put in a buddleia to attract the butterflies. As I mentioned about the water feature, that's all it is. It's not a big water feature, but I just like the sound of trickling water in the pond, and it's driven by that solar panel. Quite a big solar panel, and that will always operate while the sun's out. The sun goes in, it stops. but it does have an internal battery that will charge, so you can have that running at night as well if you want to, if you let the battery charge up. In terms of planting, your local garden centre, aquarist shop should be able to help you. Some plants will help to keep the water clear, others will help to oxygenate it. I have got oxygenating plants in there, and I do need some plants that will give a little bit more cover across the water, so that it gives it some shade from the sun, because the sun is very good at turning water green. But hopefully this little bit of movement I've got with that water feature will help to reduce the risk of that. And you can always add a little bit of wildlife of your own. I believe Daphnia, or water fleas as they're more commonly known, which you can get from pond shops, fish aquarium shops. They're usually used as feed for tropical fish. But if you put them into a pond, they will help to keep the water clear. It'll take a few weeks if you've got cloudy water already, but that will help. And I think it's better to use things like that than putting in chemicals, although you can get some natural pond clearing solutions in there. So that's it really. Inexpensive. Oh, here comes the mower again. This, I call him Jason because he's my mower. I hope you get the reference. So that is it basically. You just need to give a little bit of thought and planning to where you're going to put it. Remember the depth. Remember to give adequate shelving for your marginal plants. You can get some plants and grasses that will plant directly into gravel. That's the next thing I'm going to be looking for. And then you just sort of sit back and wait for the wildlife to find it, and hopefully it'll serve them well. That's the plan anyway. Thanks for joining us. See you later.